Hi, I'm Katie and I am the volunteer coordinator here at Pregnancy4U, and I just wanted to take a minute to share my story on how I got here and just how my walk with the Lord has allowed me to help women in my community. So I was born and raised in church and had a family that supported me and grew up the all-American lifestyle. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older that I began to have questions about how the world really worked and about my faith, and still really started to questions like, you're just meaning to tell me that the Lord just made us for some reason. And it really began to take a turn on the way I viewed the Lord. I used more science background than just faith, and kind of decided I wanted to do things my own way and see how that turned out for me. And got heavily involved with just a really bad crowd. Was working a job where I got to use my body image to make money, and found myself with people that probably weren't my best influence. At 20 years old, I found myself in a relationship with a man much older than myself and faced an unplanned pregnancy. We weren't currently together when I found out I was pregnant, so I had told him, and it turned very toxic, and a lot of threats were made and a lot of abuse was encountered during that time. So I decided it was my best option to have an abortion, and didn't really give it much thought, to be honest. I knew that was the decision I wanted. I went to a pregnancy help center similar to this one, and didn't really feel the need to change my mind, even though I felt they pushed Jesus a whole lot, but I felt targeted at that point. So I decided to go through with my abortion, and didn't think much about it after that either. I did it and I moved on with my life. I decided it was not something I ever wanted to revisit, not something I wanted to emotionally handle, and just left it at that. Several years later, I found my now husband, and we also had a pregnancy before marriage, but planned and decided to keep that baby, and had a home, dogs, everything, and he proposed and decided we were ready to get married. 3 or 4 days after I got married, it was Sunday morning, and I woke up and I was still so unhappy. And in my head, I just could not figure out why. My heart knew why, but my head just didn't want to agree. I knew that I needed the Lord. I knew that the one thing I was missing, that my heart truly desired, was pure, unconditional love from the Lord. I decided to just find a church close to me, and went to the one closest down the road, and that happened to be Cornerstone Baptist Church, and walked in that Sunday morning, and it's like God said, "You finally got it. Like, you're home." And I just knew that's where I was meant to be, and spent much time praying, trying to figure out where my belief was and where my heart was. And I went through a discipleship process with many women in my church, and decided it was time to rededicate my life. I finally had the happiness I desired. My heart was right, my head was right. I had, kind of bundled everything in one and really found myself. But then I had one small problem. I still had not ever faced the reality of a decision of an abortion. I couldn't figure out in my head how, if faced with the same situation, I would make the same decision, but yet I was deciding to give my heart completely to Christ. And it hit hard, and I struggled. So I reached out to a couple women in my church and decided it was time to go through an abortion devotional. And working through that, I was pregnant with my second son. And it hit a lot harder than I thought it would. I don't know why, and I couldn't explain it. Maybe it was because I was pregnant with another child and walking through the loss of, my first child, that it took a toll in a way that I can't explain, and I don't know if you can really explain it until you've walked through it, or can feel that until you've been there. But it was for all the better, and now I get to use my story every day to help women who are hurting and who are in that situation. And I can truly say I understand. I understand why they feel they have no other choice, why this is the only option for them. But I also get to encourage and direct and just support them, no matter the decision or the outcome that they choose. And and kind of give them a glimpse of the other side and help them with an insight that, you may forget about it for a while, but there's always something that comes back around, and it's something in your heart that was a baby, and that was a real person with heart, and that was your child. And so it's so amazing to get to witness on both sides of that, especially when they come in and they sit down and they know in their head that we just don't get it. But to be able to use that each day to really just be there in a way that I wish I would have had someone there for me.